everyone, Savannah here, and today we're going to be drawing a cute daisy with an even cuter honeybee. I'm using my brushes, but you can find for free in the description down below. You can also find the color palette and the template that I used for this video so you can follow along. So let's jump in. The very first thing we're doing is changing that background color, so go ahead and click into layers, select the background color layer, and scroll until you find the daisy color palette. We're going to start with this very dark brown greenish color. Now we're going to create a new layer, bring it below the outline layer, grab that really light white color, make sure you have the circle brush, and we're going to start filling in the petals of the daisy here. We're going to outline, then fill them in, and then we'll add some details to them. Once you have the outline done, you can turn that outline layer or the template layer off so that you can see where you need to adjust any of these lines as you're filling in this daisy. It's helpful to kind of do that throughout. Once we fill in this daisy, we will add in the center part and then also the stem. Then we'll work on adding details. With that done, go ahead and add a new layer, bring it below the white petal layer, and grab this brown color. Just start filling in where that center of the daisy is going to be, and then we will work on the stem. Now make a new layer, bring it below the center of the daisy layer, and we're going to do this really bright yellow-green color just so that we can see where the stem is. We'll make it darker. It's not going to be this bright, but this is just to help lay the color, lay the shape so that we can see what the shape's looking like and if we want to tweak it at all. And with that done, let's go ahead and alpha lock those layers. So just click on the layer, select alpha lock. We're going to add the details here in a little bit. Alpha lock just helps it so that as you're adding details, it doesn't go outside of that shape. Now make a new layer, grab this dark gray, almost black color, and we're gonna fill in the shape of the bumblebee next, and then we'll work on adding details. Let's start with the stem first. So go to your stem layer, make sure it's selected, grab this dark green color, that circle blend brush, and let's add some shadow to the stem, add some depth to it so it's not just the one color. We're going to put the darker color on the left side of the stem here, and we're going to go lighter towards the right. You could go either way, just pick a direction of where that sunlight's coming from or where the light is coming from. I'm going to pick it from the right side, so that's why I'm going lighter on the right, darker on the left. And I'm going to keep blending out this dark green color, that very light limey green color, and also a little bit of brown to the stem to give it some depth. And I'm happy with how that stem turned out. So now I'm going to work on the petals, so make sure you're selected on the petal layer. And we're going to do an alternating of these three lighter whitish colors and just start adding in some color variation here. Again, keeping in mind of where your light is coming from, where the shadows would be kind of on this daisy. And we're just going to start filling in the color here. And because it is hard to see this white screen on the video recording, I just added the final image here in the top left so that you can see what that shading will look like as we're building this up. Now with the petals done, let's work on the center of the daisy here. I'm actually going to do another layer above it because I do want some of that yellow center to be above the white daisy, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But for now, we're going to grab this darker brown color and add some a little bit of like round shapes here, kind of like circles, but very loose circles here to the bottom. Again, I'm doing kind of this darker color. I'm going to go up towards the center, and then the top I'm going to make it the lighter area since that's kind of where the light would hit. But we're going to just do these little bit of circles. I'm using that circle blend brush for this, and I'm going to be adding in that dark brown, that mid-tone brown that we have just to blend it out, and then I'm going to add in this lighter yellow color as well. And I'm going to do this yellow color on that upper layer because again, this is where I want part of this to be on top of the petals to make it look a little bit more natural. So I'm going to add a lot of the yellow to this layer and then work on blending it into the layer that's below the petal layer. So it looks like it's still all one layer, but it'll look nice. Now with the center done, we're going to work on the bumblebee. I'm going to lay some yellow down on top of him, kind of color blocking it so I could see where I want those, yellow and black distinctions to be, and then we'll add some more details. So I'm going to use this very light yellow color here. Make sure, again, you set this to alpha lock. I did not, so I was outside the lines. Click that alpha lock, start adding in those colors, and then we will blend out. We'll add details to this as we continue. And I'm still using the circle blend brush. I'm just pushing a little bit harder. It's pressure sensitive brush. You can use a circle brush if you want to, not have to deal with this, but because we're going to be adding in other layers, I just keep it on this brush so that I can blend them out easier. And I am using a little bit of these mid-tone yellows. I'm going to use a little bit of orange to give it a little bit more color depth with the shadow and the sunlight. I'm trying to aim more lighter on the top of the bumblebee and then darker towards the bottom. And I'm going to add a little bit of the lighter white color here as well to the edge of the bumblebee because I want it to be a little bit more shiny, a little bit more like he is in the sunlight. So I'm adding a little bit to the back side and up on top here. And I think he looks a little too fluffy in some spots, so I'm going to get that flat color and I'm going to start blending it out a little bit just to even it out so it's not so much of that yellow on the bumblebee. Then go ahead and grab that white. We're going to add some highlights to the black part of this bumblebee because again, we want to look like it is basking in that sun glow. So we're going to add a little bit to the black part. And once you have that down, you can grab some of that black again just to even it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be so stark. I just did it a little bit stark so I can kind of place it where I want, and then I'll blend it out a little bit with this black. And then I'm just going to add a little eye to this bumblebee to give it a little more character, and then we'll work on the wings. Now for the wings, I'm going to create a layer above and below the bumblebee so that we can have them on the sides that they're supposed to be. I'm going to grab this light brown color. Again, we're still using the circle blend brush. I'm just very lightly tracing the shape of these wings and then a little bit on the center. I'm not filling it in yet because I want to get the general shape of it, and then we'll add some detail, but we still want to be airy. We still want to be light because these are wings, and so we want to have that little bit of transparency. So I'm very, very lightly filling it in with that brown, and I'm going to go over it with this lighter white color. I don't want them to be brown wings, I want them to be white, but I'm just doing a very light overlay of this white color. Again, still want there to be a little bit of transparency. And then I did not like the location, so I'm going to move them up a little bit. I just selected both those layers. You could click that pointer arrow and then that's going to help move them. And then the other thing is I didn't like the shape of this bumblebee. I wanted it to be slightly different. So I selected the layer of the bumblebee, clicked into the pointer to distort the shape a little bit. You could do freeform as well, whichever way you want, but it just felt a little too maybe bulky up on top, and so I'm just shrinking them down a little bit, making sure the wings are placed where I want them, and then I'm calling that good. I think the bumblebee looks great at this size. And now let's work on the background. So add a new layer below that stem layer that we have. And we're going to eventually do a really heavy Gaussian blur. So don't worry about what the shapes look like. Just get the general shapes. I'm going to use the circle brush. I'm just going to grab some greens, some browns, and just do some vertical lines. We'll add a few daisies that are in the background. But again, the shapes don't have to be perfect because we're going to do that Gaussian blur. And so just have fun with this, add in color, build it up as much as you want, and then we'll do that Gaussian blur. And I did add a little bit of color depth to these daisies. Again, it's all gonna get blurred out, so you won't see it as much, but you could do that on the stems as well, that you're kind of, or the grass or whatever, your greenery here, you could do that. Do the one color green and then you can add some darker greens as a variation. Again, it doesn't have to be perfectly filled in like we did with the other things because it's going to be blurred out a little bit. So if you want some variation, you can add that here. And then one thing I didn't do for some reason on the stem is I didn't bring it all the way down off screen on the bottom here. And so I'm just going to go touch it up, bring it off the screen so that it's full. It's not just a floating stem. And then we'll keep working on adding details in. Now I'm happy with this, so let's click on that layer that we're going to blur, click adjustments, click Gaussian blur, and drag your pencil across the screen and blur it out until it looks how you want it to look. I also have the daisies, those ones in the background on a different layer, so I'm going to blur those out as well. And then we do want to add some more depth to this very back area, so add a new layer. Make sure it's down below all the other layers. Grab the square blend brush and let's just add some color here to the background. I'm using a lot of the same colors that we used for the greenery that's blurred out in the background to just kind of blend it out even further. But have fun with this section as well. Just add color here and there, and then we'll blur it out at the end. Now we're going to do a Gaussian blur on this layer as well. So click into adjustments, click Gaussian blur, and blur it out to the effect that you want it to look. And then we will be done. And now we have our drawing complete. Thank you so much for following along. I hope you have fun sketching this adorable daisy and honeybee. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment what your favorite part of this video was. You'll find everything you need to follow along in the description down below. Happy drawing, and I'll see you in the next video.